Hello everyone, thank you for joining me. Today I'm going to be bringing you a 3D project with the Floral Impressions suite. So this is the third video in my series of videos featuring this gorgeous suite. So I've got some pieces cut already for today. So the Floral Impressions suite is my suite that I'm focusing on for the month of May for the videos that I'm putting out to you, and it's also the focus of my June classes as well. So at the end of this video you will get a little sneak peek of the 3D project that we're going to be creating in my June 3D project class, and it's also included in the June combined class as well. So for today, I have got 3 pieces of cardstock. So I've got a piece of Secret C that measures 5 1/8 of an inch by 3.5 inches. We're going to do the scoring together in a minute. I've got 2 pieces of Petunia Pop that measure 4 1/4 by 4 1/4. So there's 2 of those. Then for my designer series paper, I have got 2 pieces that measure 1.5 inches by 3 1/4 inches. I have got 1 piece that measures 1 3/8 of an inch by 3 1/4, and I have got 2 pieces that measure 1 3/8 by 3 inches. So that's all of our pieces. I've also got some florals and some leaves that I have fussy cut from some of the papers, which I will be using to decorate my project today. So let's start with our piece of Secret C. I'm going to bring in my scoreboard. You could use your trimmer if you prefer. Ooh, there we go. Let's pop those pieces to one side for a moment and bring in my scoreboard. So our piece of Secret C, we are only scoring on the long side, so you want your longest side along the top, and we are going to score at 1 3/4, and then again at 3 3/8. So 3, 1, 2, 3. There we go, and that's it for our Secret C piece. So that's that done. Then I'm going to bring back in my Petunia Pop, and so on the first side, so obviously both sides measure the same, so on the first side we are going to score at 1 5/8, we are going to score at 2 3/8, we are going to score at 4, and we're going to score at 4 3/4. Then we're going to flip it around and we're going to score at 3/4 of an inch. Whoops, 3/4 of an inch at 4 and at 4 3/4. And then we're going to repeat that on our other piece. So on the first side at 1 5/8, at 2 3/8, at 4, and at 4 3/4. And then we're going to flip it around and we're going to score at 3/4 of an inch, we're going to score at 4 inches, and then we're going to score again at 4 3/4. Okay, so I'm going to move my scoreboard to the side and then grab my bone folder, and we are going to burnish all of those score lines. So we have some nice crisp fold lines. That's that one, and then the same again on the next one, and we're going to do our Secret C as well. So So I would love to know in the comments if you have watched my other videos this month featuring the Floral Impressions suite. Which of the projects was your favourite? I think my favourite project from videos 1 and 2 is probably my fun fold for the June class that I showed you a little sneak peek of. Okay, so we are going to be making this into a little box. So you're going to want your snips, and so the process for the 2 pieces of Petunia Pop are exactly the same. So the first thing I'm going to do is, where I've got this narrow section, is I'm going to cut away completely that very bottom square. So lose that completely, and then at the top of that section we are going to lose the 2 top pieces like so. So this is going to fold up into our box. So on our front, the back section, we are going to keep our flap. So I want to get rid of this piece here. I'm just making sure that I leave the back with the full section. So the back has the full section, so we're going to cut away all of that like that, yeah, and then we'll cut down that score line and that score line. I'm going to fold those in, and I'm going to cut away that section there, but we want to keep these little squares. I'm just going to wedge those very slightly like that. Then cut up and wedge our small squares at the bottom. So this is what I am looking at now. So this is going to be the back. So I've got my extra piece at the back. I've got these 2 pieces here, this piece here. I've wedged all 4 squares, and then I've straight cut the rectangles. And then it is just going to fold together. I might need to trim a little bit off. So the back panel, where you've just got the 1 section, we're just going to trim a little bit off the length of that, just so that our box sits nice and flush when we pop it together. And then we're going to repeat that exactly the same on our other piece. So this small square at the bottom, well, it's not a square, it's a rectangle, but this small rectangle at the bottom we're going to cut completely away. Then this top section, we're going to take those 2 small sections and we're going to cut those completely away. Then along here we're going to take those top 3 sections and we're going to cut those completely away. Make sure you don't get carried away and cut off that last section. Okay, Then we're going to cut down the squares. And then I'm going to go back and wedge those squares. So I'm just cutting like a tiny little triangle sliver. It just means that our box will close nice and flush. Like that. And then this rectangle section here we're going to cut completely away. Like so. And then I'm going to cut up my sections at the bottom like so, and then I'm going to wedge both of those squares on both sides. And then our final cut is just to trim a little bit off that rectangle. Okay, so now we have got our two pieces that match. So let's bring in our Secret C piece, and we are going to pop on our bits of designer series paper. So you're going to want the 3 pieces that measure 3 1/4. So you've got 2 pieces that are 1 1/2 by 3 1/4, and then 1 piece that is 1 3/8 by 3 1/4, and those are the 3 pieces that we are going to be sticking on our Secret C piece. So let's get those stuck down. I'm using Stampin seal, though it is about to run out, but you can use whatever your preferred adhesive is. Parent tape, Tombow, Stampin seal, whatever your preferred. So I'm just sticking those down, aiming for a nice even border all the way around, like so. And then we have got to bring in our pieces of Petunia Pop. So our 2 pieces of designer series paper are to go on this panel here. So where we've cut that flap completely away, because that is going to be our front. So just put some adhesive on the back of those. And again, aiming for a nice even border all the way around. I love this paper. I think this pattern is probably my favourite pattern. Okay, so now we're going to stick our boxes together. So we're going to start, so you're going to flip it over. So your designer series paper is underneath, and then we're going to fold back this thin tab here. And I'm going to pop my adhesive on this thin tab. And then we're going to fold just after this large section, we're going to fold it in half and give it a good squidge. So you should get a nice tidy edge like that. And then I'm going to do the same on the other side. So some adhesive on that small flap, and then fold over our box in half like so. Then we're going to do our bottom, so I'm going to fold in the small flaps, then I'm going to fold in the piece that's going to be the back, and then I'm going to fold in the front piece, just so that we have that nice clean edge on the front. And I'm just going to pop a little bit of adhesive on the back of that front, the piece that's going to be the front, like so. And I'm just going to fold it up and squidge it so that it's nice and tidy like that. And we're going to do exactly the same on the other side. So folding in the small flaps, folding in the back, and then pop some adhesive on the piece that's going to be on the front, and then fold it so that it's nice and flush, like that. And then for our top, what I'm going to do is the tiniest little sliver, really tiny, that tiny, from each side, just so that it will tuck in nicely, like that. You don't want to take too much off, because if you take too much off, it won't stay closed, and we want it to hold closed. So I'm going to do the same on the other piece. Teeny tiniest little sliver, like that. Okay, so now we've got our boxes. We've got a little wrap here. But I'm going to, before we pop it together, I'm going to decorate the front of my little box. So this panel is going to be my front panel, I think. Actually, there's quite a lot of upside down leaves that way. No, we'll do it this way up. So this will be my front panel. And so I'm not going to put a sentiment on here. I want to be able to kind of use it for whatever I fancy. And I think I'm just going to pop a couple of leaves, a couple of little flowers, maybe bringing in a couple of other colours, just so that they pop out a little bit more against that background. I'm going to pop them up on dimensionals as well, because that's going to help to sort of pull them away from that quite busy background. You could just leave it complete. You could just leave it with the patterned paper if you wanted to. You don't have to add extra. But I think I'm just gonna go with it and add these little flowers that are not the same colour as the background, and I'm just going to pop dimensional on the back of each of those flowers. I'm going to go one there, one there, and one there, and then I'm going to tuck that in. I'm just going to use a little bit of liquid glue just so that I can slide it in. Like that, and then we'll just pop another one in. Side. That's just going to hang over if I do it that side. Let's do it this side. There we go. So that's going to be the front. I think that's cute. Okay, so one thing I didn't mention actually that we're going to need is some ribbon. So I have got here, I've brought in the gold striped ribbon. I absolutely love this. This may very well be my favourite Stampin' Up! Ribbon ever. And you can do it one of two ways. You can either use the piece all the way across, or you can just pop, you can cut two pieces and just pop it on either side. I'm going to use two pieces. So I want to make sure that I've got enough length to be able to tie a nice bow. So I'm going to cut my two pieces like that, and then to secure them I'm going to pop some tear and tape. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop some tear and tape down for it to stick to. Like that. I'm going to stick it on, and then I'm going to take a piece of tear and tape and just pop over it. I'm going to leave the backing on, just to give it a little bit of extra security. Then my other piece, I'm going to do exactly the same on the other side, and I want to aim for them to kind of be roughly level. So we're aiming for there. So let's pop my piece of tear and tape about like that. And take my backing off. Then my piece of ribbon. And I'm kind of trying to get them about level. And then our piece of tear and tape to go over the top. There we go. And now we need to stick in our little boxes. So you could use seal, you can use glue, whatever you reckon. I'm going to use some Tombow just so that I've got that little bit of wiggle room. If it would like to come out. There we go. And then pop that down, and I'm aiming for an even-ish border all the way around, and then do the same with the other piece. Pop that like that, and then it will close up together like that, and then I can, obviously we'll close the lid, but then you can tie your ribbon together. Now these little boxes, they are a lovely size, so we can get a couple of tea lights in there, no problem. So put tea lights, whoops, tea lights in that side. I'm being extra careful because I have only just done the Tombow, and they could probably do with a little bit longer to dry. But you could pop tea lights in one side, a couple of tea bags, you might have to fold them a little bit. Tea bag, a couple of sugar sachets, yeah, we'll get another one in there, squidge it in, perfect. Fold that over, close it up. So we've got 2 tea lights, 2 tea bags, and 2 little sugar sachets. And then we can tie our ribbon like that. You can trim down your ribbon to however you like, but there is our little box. I just love it. I think it's so cute, and it would make a really cute table favour. You can just stand it up on its end, or you could do it that way. Maybe with if you were to go for linen thread, you could pop it that way, or you could pop it that way round. Really cute, a nice size as well. You could fit some like sweets or something in there instead. So that is today's project, and I'm very excited to show you the 3D project for our June class. Now, it's missing a tag because I haven't made the tag for it yet, but this is our project for our June 3D project class. This hexagonal box, and this is huge. It is a really big box, so I could fit an ink pad in there with a Tombow and a pair of snips and a roll of ribbon, perhaps not quite in that order, and then it pulls closed, and there will be so it will pull closed, there'll be a tag, and then it will be tied off in a bow. But yeah, so you could fit a roll of ribbon, a pair of snips, a tombow, and an ink pad, and actually I could fit more in there as well if I really tried. I'm so excited. I absolutely love this. This is probably one of my favourite 3D projects. It's so cool. So I really hope that you will join me for my 3D project class for June. You can book onto it now. You've got the different options. So you've got the you can do the 3D project class as a standalone, or you can do it together with the 3 cards as well. You can have the PDF tutorial. If you sign up for the class, you get the PDF tutorial, but you can either have it with a live Zoom class or with a video recording, and you can choose to add on the kit as well, which will include all of the product that you need to create the project as well, and that will come to you in the post, arrive on your doorstep, and you'll have everything that you need apart from scissors, glue, and any stamps that you'd like to include. So that's it from me today. So we have got our 3D project for June, this gorgeous hexagonal box with this lovely paper. I'm obsessed with the Floral Impression Suite, and then this is the box that we created today. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope to see you again soon. Take care. Bye.